Christian Bachgalupi here with Back to Brag Sports, talking about this crazy college realignment. And I wasn't going to post anything until I heard Stanford and Cal might go to the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. I think if that happens, they got to change their name to the All Coast Conference or something. Even though Syracuse, does New York have beaches? Does the state of New York touch the Atlantic? Comes close at least. But yeah, like the 2-3 states in that conference don't touch the Atlantic. But adding two teams that touch the Pacific, you got to change the name. Anyway, if I'm the ACC, like, one of the problems that comes up with that is you're going to have a lot of cross-country traveling. I think the ACC needs to do what's being predicted and just make that 2014 division. Though, in fairness, unless you're going to have a 4-team playoff for a conference championship, I think each team has to play at least half the teams in the league. Maybe I'm over or underthinking that, but let's say you don't have to do that. But for ACC to go to a 2014 conference and be that first team to do so, and if they're going to add Stanford and Cal, they got to add Washington State and Oregon State. That would put them up to 18, because they start with 14, if you didn't know. Cal and Stanford 16, and then you add Washington State and Oregon State, and now you got 18. You get 24, the Mountain West is where you look. Mountain West had 7 bowl teams last year. Most notably, Fresno State and Boise State are their 2 big teams. So I think they'd have. If I'm them, I'm looking over at pulling in a few Mountain West teams and then split divisions up, which is going to still mess up 2 teams that are in the conference now, because you add teams from the West, so there's less travel across country. Like, doing that a few times are good, but doing it half the season is a little ridiculous. But let's look at that. If Stanford and Cal were to just join the ACC, and they have 10 to 8, what do they get? 10 to 8 conference games. If it's just Stanford and Cal, that's like 1 conference game that they're not traveling across the country for away. So you're looking at 4. And it's not too bad. But I think if you add a few West teams, you don't have to do that cross country, which is going to hurt teams' budgets. I really feel like you got to add Boise State, Fresno State, Oregon State, Washington State. That'll get you up to 20. 6 teams in the West. Like, you add 2 more, that's 10. And then you can do an East and a West, and then well, Notre Dame's not part of the ACC, but it's got a weird, I don't know if it's still going on, where they have to play 5 ACC games. And if they have the best ranking, they get dibs on whatever ACC bowls. But now with 12-team playoffs coming up in 2024, I'm pretty sure Notre Dame's not going to give a crap about the ACC anymore, and they don't want to join a conference out in football, at least. An option, though, and with more West teams, it'll be less or more traveling across country, because this is the biggest problem with this situation, though it's not as big of a problem as it was back in the day. But I was thinking, if you didn't do divisions, because here's the thing: if you do divisions, there's going to be some current ACC teams that are screwed and having to play in the West, and Louisville's going to be one of them. The other option is just doing one division, and then, I guess you can just not do random draws, see where everyone goes, and just have the conference schedule maker, make sure no one is making that full cross-the-country trip more than a few times. But I gotta tell you, I know a lot of traditionalists really hate all the changes going on, but I think it's very interesting, at least. It is kind of sad seeing some of these traditions go. And honestly, I was waiting for the ACC to announce some poaching of the AAC, the All-American Conference, I think, which has like Navy and the teams that didn't get poached by the Big 12. I'm blanking on those teams, but I know Navy's in there. Cincinnati was. They're now in the Big 12. UCF now in the Big 12. But this is like, I don't know what happens if ACC. I'm telling you what I think should happen. Who knows if that is what will happen? Maybe Washington State, Oregon State go to the Big 10. Maybe they go to the Pac-12 or Big 12. Though I don't think the Big 12 want to add teams from the Northwest to the equation. I don't know. It would be very interesting. And I heard and I agree. It's almost like the 2023 season, like no one cares about. There's like, let's just get to the 12-team playoff. Let's get to this crazy realignment and see what happens, because even if you're a traditionalist, this is hella interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on everything. Like, subscribe, turn notifications, follow, and anything else you can think of.